the other striking thing about their relationship is that I think in many ways it kind of strays into a romanticness in some ways. He compares his love for Jesus like the love Mary Magdalene has for Jesus, or the love
Yes.
his sisters have for Jesus.
To me, there's no physical barrier between Yeshua and Lazarus. A lot of time when there's a friendship between men in our, maybe that's changing for your generation, George, there was always a physical barrier between at least heterosexual men or heterosexual and gay men that couldn't be crossed very easily, maybe unless people were childhood friends again. And maybe that's one important thing about being childhood friends. But in my book, there's a scene I remember where Yeshua is exhausted and sleeping, and Lazarus places his hand above Yeshua's body, but doesn't touch him. He maintains a distance in order to feel that amazing tension of wanting to touch someone you love and not doing it. And so for me, I also have to say that I try to be accurate to the time period. So in researching particularly Greek ideas about sexuality and Roman ideas about sexuality, we of course come upon the notion that they didn't have the same categories we do. I know that for some contemporary people that's difficult to understand, that they didn't divide the world into heterosexual and homosexual and bisexual, and maybe now with non-binary and those ideas, people are understanding a little bit better the fluidity that came with Greek and Roman culture. And so I tried to reflect that in the book. And I tried to reflect the idea that for the Greeks, the Romans, and the people back then in this multicultural society, having sex would not have been sinful. And so there's scenes even where Lazarus goes to a brothel. And I haven't gotten into any trouble about that, except for one reader in Canada who was offended by the idea that, this biblical character would have gone to a brothel. But back then, in a Roman colony, it would have seemed perfectly normal for people to avail themselves of that possibility.